I'm the director and producer of Amazon Falls, the low-budget indie feature that's playing at Cinema Parallel in Montreal. It was shot with a lot of love and heart. We did it in 12 days for $50,000, so it's kind of a little mini miracle film. There's a saying in California, and it's the sun is setting, but that's when the sharks are feeding and the surfers don't want to come out of the water. So I sort of made that analogy of these girls that get caught up in this nightlife thing. You know, like the sun is setting, it's after midnight, but they're somehow attracted to the dark side, to the danger of these clubs and things like that. And so it becomes sort of this weird, codependent, odd situation that young women can find themselves in. And the Janet character has been working in these clubs for 20 years. And this is really based on a friend of mine who's still working in these clubs. And she's in her 40s, and she's been there since she was 20. And she's kind of like the mother matron, you know, encouraging these young girls to encourage men to buy drinks. But it gets slippery. And there's a lot, this happens a lot more than you would think. It happens in Vancouver, it happens all over the States, it happens in Europe, it happens in Asia. The opening for me is very important. I wanted to set up basically the Janet character's life in Hollywood. So I started with sort of images of her as a young girl, getting older, you know, being an actress, sort of setting up that whole fame motif. And then, boom, you cut to she's in bed with her young lover and getting ready for an audition. It's sort of the reality of her world versus the dream. This is a really important theme, I think, of the film, is that when you're an attractive woman, a young woman, you get these job opportunities handed to you, basically. And so, you know, they work in these clubs, and their job is kind of to entertain the men that come in and encourage them to spend more money and that kind of thing. The problem is that these men start to expect things. So what normally would start out as just an innocent thing of, you know, getting everyone to buy drinks or to kind of have fun at the club can get really darker as the night progresses. When I was 18, I was paraded around Cannes in a leather outfit, and I saw at the age of 18 just how scary that world was. And I immediately said to myself, I need an education. I need to have something that's solid, right? And I think, you know, models that I worked with, I mean, they speak 5 languages. They're the smartest girls in the world. You know, it's not what you think. It's just, I think there's a thing where you just have to evaluate when you're going to get out and how long do you stay. And it's kind of like the shark scenario. You know, the sun is setting, the sharks are feeding, and you don't want to get out of the water. At some point, you need to get out of the water, right? Because it can be very scary. It gets tricky when you're in it for years and years and years and years, because it becomes just much more desperate. The dream died for her, and she finally gave up at the end. It's also this city of LA, and I wanted that to be clear, that it wasn't just a male-women thing. A lot of my male actor friends went through a lot of crazy things there. I think it's more of a power struggle dynamic when someone has the power and you don't. And I think LA has a way of sort of sucking you into its, you know, psyche, this kind of sick psyche, you know, where everyone's desperate. Even, you know, Calvin is desperate at the end. You know, Ben's character is desperate. They're all kind of living their own burden of a dream. They all want to grasp onto fame or money or whatever it is. We shot the film completely in Vancouver. I went to Los Angeles for 2 days to get what's called B-roll. And I just have an amazing editor, Franco Panti, who did this incredibly seamless edit. Basically, I had the shots in Vancouver with all the characters and cast, and then I would cut to the Hollywood sign. I would cut to shots of driving along the freeway. I would cut to Mann's Chinese Theater and all that stuff, but we actually shot everything in Vancouver.